Hello, friends. Welcome to another conversation between myself, Susan Axelrod, the confidence coach, and the person I call the inimitable Nadine Searle, the calmer self coach. These conversations started as a personal get to know you, moving from the get to know you to becoming friends, and moving from becoming friends to becoming confidants. And it all was very synergistic with the nature of our work. I help people feel confident in life and in business. And Nadine helps people feel calm inside so that they can have a calm presentation, demeanor, and impact outside. So today we're going to be talking about a topic which is, I don't even know what to say about this. I don't know how this conversation is going to go, but I know it's going to be great. What do I see when I look in the mirror? Nadine, hello, my friend. How are you today?
Hello, Susan. I'm fine, thank you. I'm good. I hope you are well. You're looking gorgeous. And
Thank
this
you.
topic, I love your topics so much, and your titles, they really hit. They cut to the quick, don't they? You get, this is you all over. You get to the point. Who do I see when I look in the mirror? That's deep before
It's
we've even
deep,
started.
and you know what? It's such a good point. Even the title is deep, and it makes us think. And
Mm.
honestly, Nadine, these conversations that we have that are ongoing, that really come from the deepest soul connection that each of us has through our own work, using our own tools with our soul selves, and also the way our souls connect with each other is part of what allows us to really go in and go deep. The topics of our conversations come from our personal conversation, and
Don't
that's
they?
really how we got to this point. So,
Yeah.
Nadine, the place that we're going to start is the easy and the obvious. You have been overt, generous, and deeply impactful in sharing your cancer journey with us. For those who have followed our podcast conversations, they saw you show up with the most iconic head of auburn, gorgeous, long, lush hair. And then there was the day that you showed up basically bald, for a conversation. And here you are all this time later with yet another image. And I want to ask you, if we start with the most obvious, who do you see now when you look in the mirror?
Mm. Well, now I see someone very, very different than I used to see when I used to look in the mirror. And it's so interesting, and I think quite simple to focus on the obvious hair. Obviously everyone knows it runs deeper than that, but the obvious is, I was maybe defined by my hair. Maybe people saw my hair first. I had long Albany hair. I mean, it changed colour from time to time, but it was a feature, wasn't it? It was,
Yes.
everyone commented on my hair, that kind of thing. I got to tell the truth, I was never very happy with it, but people told me it was lovely. We're never happy, are we, with what we've
Isn't
got?
that always the case, Nadine? Isn't that always the case? We can
Isn't
start
it?
right there. Even,
Yeah.
that iconic head of hair, I wasn't happy with it. I go live so often, I do so many videos. Oh, believe me, I understand that suffering.
Yeah, and it's just it makes me chuckle, really, because obviously, everyone go, oh, you're losing your hair. So many people, when I lost my hair, were so upset on my behalf. Bless them, how lovely.
Yes.
Obviously it had an impact on me, obviously, but so many people commented on, oh, you've lost your beautiful hair. That maybe was the thing that affected people the most, because it was out there. And actually, that to me, I just felt that, yes, of course, I was sad about it. It was one of my big fears, losing my hair. How am I going to cope? But going through it, now who I see in the mirror is someone who has dealt with that. It's not an issue. It's not an issue. So the wonderful, the blessing of having this forced upon me, if you like, is that I haven't got that fear anymore. I was identified by my hair. That's gone now. And now I see in the mirror someone completely different. I
Oh my
see my
gosh.
face more than I
Hold on
saw.
a second. I just have to stop you because I really did honestly just get chills. I really did just get chills when you said that. Um, we're talking about hair. We're going to go deeper, people. Just wait
Oh
for
yeah.
it. I don't really know much about men and their hair and how they feel about their looks, but there isn't a woman among us who doesn't know what this conversation is about. And then you
Mm.
said, it was one of my big fears.
It was, it
And
was.
then you said, now I look in the mirror and I see someone who has dealt with it. It's not an issue, period. That was a complete statement. And I want to say, like, holy shit, honestly, that is so amazing for you to really say that. And I got chills. So I know how real that was, Nadine. That's remarkable.
I just love, this is another thing I love about you so much, how you repeat what I say, because I say things, I speak from the heart, as you know, and everybody knows this is scripted, what I just said, I didn't realize what I had just said and how impactful that was. So thank you so much for making a note of it. Thank you for saying it back to me, because I got more emotional listening to you say it back to me than I did
Yes,
saying it,
that
because it
was,
is deep, isn't it? So
yeah.
it's a big, big thing. And it's something when I actually, because I think everybody knows your hair starts coming out. My hair started coming out after my first round of chemotherapy. I was hoping to hold on to it a bit longer, but it was coming out in clumps. Being so long, that was very noticeable and very traumatic.
Yeah.
So this idea of shaving it off was something that I thought I need to be brave enough to do that, because and actually that was an easier thing for me to do than have the clumps coming out and trying to manage that. So I did that quite early on, in a way. I did it before my second round of chemotherapy. Um, and it was it was hard to do, but in a way, I think I was taking the softer option, because it was hard to try and keep it, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. I and I know we're going to talk about grief and loss, and every change is a grief and loss and an adjustment, isn't it? But that was something. Say goodbye to my hair and let it go. And I recorded, my lovely hairdresser shaved it all off for me. She'd done it with lots of other people. She understood what it was like. I recorded that because, and again, just as you've just demonstrated, when I'm in the moment, I'm not necessarily feeling everything. I wanted to record that so that I had it there to go back to, so that I could really deal with those emotions. Because when it was actually being done, there were no tears. I wasn't crying,
Yeah.
but there were afterwards,
Yeah. I
definitely.
could
And
feel it. I could feel this very strongly. Saying goodbye to my hair is like, honestly, Nadine, these, unscripted, raw, real, totally, completely authentic conversations. This is speaking. I don't know that there would be a woman out there who wouldn't say one of their biggest fears about cancer is losing their hair.
yes,
So I'm
yes,
so
definitely.
thankful to you that you're willing to come here and have this conversation. And, just the phrase saying goodbye to my hair and letting it go. And then you
Mm.
started to say before, one of the changes that I see, what do I see when I look in the mirror now? I see my face. What do you
There's a
want
thing.
to say about that?
It's really, this process, is so enlightening. There's things that I've had to face that I didn't want to, like say, facing my fears and everything. But I can look back and realize how much I was hiding underneath my hair. I was using my hair to hide myself. It got stripped away from me. I'm laid bare. I'm vulnerable. I'm open. And actually, now I can see people say, oh, I can see your lovely face. I'm going, oh, I'm not hiding. I can't hide my face under my hair anymore. I
Right.
didn't go straight into wigs. I thought, let's see how I can do this. I've never done the wig thing. I laid there, and actually you invited me to talk publicly on one of our conversations. We were having a private conversation. You said, may I record this and everything? I was not ready for that visually, but I went for it because I always feel so cared for by you. And I thought, let's do this. So thank you so much for that. I showed up on camera live probably looking my worst while we had a conversation. But those are the things that I've needed to do to get me where I am now. And it's still a process. I'm still going through it as I adjust. But it is actually to be, I went to, my sister had her, not an engagement, an anniversary party very soon after I'd had my head shaved. So that was a big thing to go out to that and see
Yeah.
people. But as I say, you invited me to say, publicly be on Zoom when I wasn't prepared. I did it. But those are things, they're challenges, and they're so good to do, because then you can look back and you can look at your face in the mirror and go, I can do that. I'm strong. Looking back at that video, and I did it before we came on today, to go, oh my goodness, I'm a different person. And this is what I see. I see someone different, and I see as you know, and I've said it so many times, I'm not that comfortable with being open and vulnerable, but I see that actually I can do it. I am doing it. I'm doing it all the time. And this is why I'm grateful for this platform where we can talk openly, can't we?
Yeah.
And say what we want to say and show our vulnerability and our fears and our worries, and hopefully help people, because they see that we can come through it too, how we can help ourselves and how we can grow. And my lovely cancer specialist nurse, Valerie, who has looked after me right from the start, when that word chemotherapy came up and I was terrified, she was there. And when I had, she first saw me with no hair, and she just went, oh, you're just so beautiful. What can I see? And she said to me, she obviously sees it so many times. She said, as soon as people have their head shaved, she sees an inner beauty, an inner warmth. She sees a strength. And honestly, the way that she said it to me, I can't quote her words exactly because I can't really remember them, but she knew that was in me. And she was just waiting to see it. And it is when the head shave comes, you can see it. And she gets to see that over and over again with so many different people. And again, I was so grateful that she said that to me, because then I could feel it. And I thought, oh my goodness, she sees the inner me, and that's coming out. And she knew then, everything, she knew anyway, everything would be okay. But, you have a strength, you have this, you need it, you're going to need it for the months to come and everything. I certainly have. But she could see it, and that gave me that ability to go, actually, there's something in there that I wasn't seeing before, and I can see it more now. And as things are developing, I see changes and I can see different stuff coming up.
Coming up for me is the cancer journey, and hair loss is obvious. I have shared with you, it just came up showing itself to me, so I want to bring it up here. When I've suffered a trauma. I had difficulty with my husband, whom I loved, and it was traumatic. And then he died, and it just came up for me when you said that when I look in the mirror, thank God, I don't have cancer. I didn't lose my hair. But when you said that, she said that when somebody shaves their head, then you can see an inner beauty and an inner warmth. I felt like when you come through a trauma, when you come through a trauma, it's almost like the same. When I look in the mirror, I see someone different. And then it was just very soothing and helpful to me to think that, there's like somebody else would look at me, I'm like Bear, even though I didn't shave my head, although I just thought maybe I could, based on what you just shared with me. I'm going to park that. But when you go through a trauma and then you look in the mirror, who do I see, or what do I see when I look in the mirror? There's, an inner strength comes up, and when you come through, you do the inner work. With cancer, you lose your hair. It's not your choice, in trauma, you do have a choice to do the inner work of healing, deep personal soul healing, or not. It's not easy to do. And so I want to make sure that our listeners and viewers know this isn't just about the cancer journey and losing your hair. Who do I see, when I look in the mirror? that just really spoke directly to my soul. That's what that emotion was, my
Yeah,
soul rising to say, wow,
yeah,
I feel like when I look in the mirror through my trauma, and work, that also, I see an inner beauty and an inner warmth and an inner strength showing itself to me, even though to the point that we've made, I don't love what I see when I look in the mirror either. Do you know what I mean by this, Nadine? Do you
I
understand what I'm
really,
saying?
I really do. And it's something I did want to talk to you about, and it's come up now, which is beautiful. I have seen the change in you with all your loss and your grief. And it's not just your husband, it was also your mother and your father, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then with our conversations that we have, across the miles, the way that we communicate, I have seen you strengthen, change, grow. I
Mm,
can see that in you and the way that you talk. And if people look back at our podcasts and our conversations, they will see that too. Because, when you speak about things, I can see how you've grown in strength, how you've accepted some things, how you've come to peace with certain things. And it shows. It
mm,
shows in the way that you look. So whether you see that when you look in the mirror or not, I don't know, but I can see it in you. I
yeah.
can really see it in you. And I probably never said that to you before, and maybe I should have done. But, I can see that strength and that wisdom and that acceptance and that love that you do have for yourself, because you are nurturing yourself through this. We both have the tools where we can help ourselves, but we also have each other, and we have other people in our world that give us
Many,
tools and
many other
support.
people,
This is
right?
it. We are blessed, aren't we? But
Yeah.
it is, to see that change. And you I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, you look in the mirror now and maybe think back to, years ago when you were with your husband and how things were. You see a different person, you see someone completely different, and be proud of that, because how far you've come and what
Yeah.
you've developed into. Is
It's
that how you feel?
Yeah, it's so funny. It is exact. And I do feel proud. And I also, of course, the grief journey is ongoing, as we've discussed. You're a grief coach. I've been in grief coaching with Cornelia Stephanie, and I've done my own grief healing. Another grief coach I met and worked with a bit is Annie McDonald. Amazing work that she does. And that brings me to the next thing that you gave me permission to talk about, because we go from the image, mostly through your face. You're talking about the hair, the face. And I said, yes, when I look at myself, it's mostly the face that I see. But then you bring up, you said to me, you seem stronger and you can perceive that brought up a somatic response, a body connection response. And one of the things that you've talked about, is of course your breasts. You have breast cancer, and
Yes,
so shit happens with your breasts when you have
yes,
breast cancer. And
yeah,
part of, what do I see when I look in the mirror is the full body image as
yeah.
well.
Yes, yes, totally. I mean, most of these conversations, you're just seeing the head, you're focusing on that, but
Exactly.
you're absolutely right. At this present time, I have had one lot of surgery. I have more surgery scheduled. I'm very lopsided. I'm strange looking. Again, it's not the most important thing, but it has an impact. And I had quite a large bust. Again, that was something that some people remembered about me, and the sad at the
Yes.
loss and the change. And again, it's adjusting. I'm not the same person. I don't look the same body wise as well. I also, and this, Susan, more than most. I've had weight issues. I'm dealing with that now. I'm really, really looking at my health and my image and everything, because it's important, because of this change. And I feel, there is some weight loss. There is the surgery, so there's physical loss, definitely. But it is, again, it's how I feel inside, how I feel about my body, how there's a lot of ladies that when they have breast cancer, they don't have reconstruction, they stay flat and everything, and they embrace that. And I'm working through my own way of adjusting to my change. I haven't had reconstruction. I've had everything, luckily, thankfully, everything taken out that needed to be taken out, so there's less there. but I'm still adjusting. It's very swollen still. It's not how it's going to be. So there's a thing I've got to wait, and patience is another one of my lessons.
Patient, yeah, patient.
But also to that, then I will have the surgery on the other side, and I will hopefully be even. But again, it's questioning, isn't it? What's important to me? Was my bust important to me before? Am I going like, oh, I didn't really like I said about my hair, it used to annoy me. I could never get it right and everything. There's a lot of what I'm thinking and feeling now is that how much I didn't appreciate what I had before and not being happy with it. And there's a certain amount of sadness and regret in that, because they say, don't they, we don't realize what we've got until it's gone, and we don't appreciate it. And I do feel that. So losing part of my bust, changing my shape and everything, and actually looking back and going, I didn't really appreciate it when I had it. And that is sad. That
Flat-chested
is
women, for
yeah,
those of
yeah,
us who are
yeah,
flat-chested, we
yeah,
envy the full-busted woman. I know
yeah.
many, many, many full-busted women who have said to me
Mm.
over the years, you have no idea how lucky you are. So the
Yes,
grass is
yes.
greener, but I didn't.
Mm,
That was a very big energy that came up for me just
mm,
now, a very
mm.
big energy. I hope, you and I, Nadine, we listen to our conversations. We've often
We
said that
do.
when you
It,
listen to this, there's how much I didn't appreciate
I
before.
know, I know.
That brings us up to the
Mm.
dear younger self. It brings us
Doesn't it?
up to the
Doesn't it?
child
Mm,
within who
mm,
grew and saw herself a certain way. And then
yeah,
she got what she was going to become. And,
yeah,
in terms of who I see when I look in the mirror, in the in the younger self, you don't know whom you are going to become. Then you
yes,
become the who
yeah.
you are,
Mm,
going to become. And
mm,
then stuff happens. In my case, it was trauma. In your case, certainly trauma over the years. Every person suffers,
mm,
but this particular cancer journey. And
mm,
now, the image, when you talked about the inner beauty, the inner warmth, and the strength that comes up, it's called resilience,
yes, yes,
overcoming
yeah.
difficulties, getting through them, getting
Mm,
to another place whereby we look ahead with a
mm,
different vantage lens of who
yeah,
we are now and who we're going to become, dear future self. What
yes,
comes
yeah.
up for you about that when you think about the you are becoming?
Yeah, it is. It's all entwined, isn't it? I love the way all of these, and I would encourage everyone to go back. We do re-listen to our conversations,
Yeah.
don't we? And we can be, as I say, I can be more in the moment when I'm listening back sometimes, which might sound strange, but it's real. But you're right. That whole idea of actually then going, oh, who can I look forward to being? Who am I going to meet? Who am I going to be? And in one of our past podcasts, we did talk about that, didn't you? This, who am I stepping into? What is my future going to be? There's so much uncertainty. There's so much. I'm scared. I have no idea. I'm scared. I don't like not knowing. I don't like that. It's totally out of my control, and I'm not comfortable with that. But the other side of that is I'm quite excited, because actually this is a chance for me to reshape. I've said to people about my hair, I was trapped in that long hair thing where, I'd go, oh, I'll have my hair cut, and people saying, oh, don't, I love your hair. So I'm free. I'm free of that now. That it's gone. I'm free. I'm looking forward to experimenting when I can control what I do with it, and I can color it, and I can do things. I'm looking forward to experimenting. So, dear future self, we're going to have some fun. We are going to have some fun.
Sounds
Um,
good.
and
Dear
how lovely.
future self, we're going to have some fun.
We are. We're having it already. But, there's days when I'm not having fun. There's a lot of stuff I'm going through. Obviously, I don't want to downplay it for anyone that's going through this too. But there is fun to be had. I was saying to a friend only yesterday, how we laugh at all of this, we laugh at the most ridiculous things. So we are going to have more fun. That's really important. This is a big wake up call as well. As life is short, let's enjoy every moment. But also, as I say, this so mixed of emotions, because I am scared, I am fearful, I am uncertain, I really don't know. But I'm also quite clear on what I want, much more than I was before. This has really made it focused me on what I don't want. I do want to get to grips with my body image and deal with that. I'm doing a lot of work on myself. I'm doing a lot of reevaluating and that kind of thing, and accepting, and yes, grief work and loss and sadness and letting things go to be the future, dear future self that I want to be. And knowing, I do have an inner confidence come brought through this to know that I can do this. I can be whatever I want to be. And that's really good. It's almost reignited that in me a little bit. It's a strange way to go about it, but it has, that I can actually go, yeah, I know there is a strength there. I know there's stuff there that maybe had got a little bit lost before. There is something, and I'm sure anyone that's been through a diagnosis like this, you go through every emotion that there is, but you also can actually see the blessing of, thank you for this opportunity to stop a little bit, have that fear, have all those emotions, face something that you don't really want to face, but actually see that you can, your word, the resilience that you can have, and come through it and actually go, right, okay, this is what I am now. What do I want to be? How do I get there? What do I want to do? And put some things in place, which is what I'm doing now, working on my fitness, planning what to do with my hair, planning what to do with my bust as much as I can. That's out of my control. But, what can I do? New clothes, new everything, the excitement as well as the fear, and embracing all that. Fear is okay. It has its place, doesn't it? So you look, I'm talking so much, you look like you want to say something, so I'll be quiet for a moment.
Yeah, no, it's so good. I mean, I want to acknowledge, you and I don't even know how long. I think we have 14 episodes recorded on one thing, and some other, we've been having
a lot of
conversations so long. I really urge and encourage people to find them, and I'll put them in the notes because they're so good. Now, I want to acknowledge where you are on the cancer journey in this case in particular, because if people go back and listen to other conversations, they're not going to hear you talking about inner confidence. They're not going to hear you talking about excitement. They're going to hear you talking about mouth sores. They're not going to hear you talking about, I'm doing a lot of work on myself and I know what I want. They're not going to hear that. They're going to hear I don't know what the hell, I'm not feeling well. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'm scared. We cried. They're going to hear. I want to acknowledge that, we're at a certain place in this journey, and these conversations that we've had, we know we're speaking out for energetic ripples for other people to understand and hear and learn. So I wanted to acknowledge to people, you're dropping into this conversation now, whereby it's literally extraordinary for me to hear you say, yes, there's still fear. We have surgery, we have more chemo, but there's also an excitement. And what's coming up for me as I'm listening to you is intentionality. You said, I didn't really appreciate what I had. You had a voluptuous bust, you had the long hair. You said in the end, looking back, you realized maybe the hair was like a trap and you were like inside it, and that was laid bare, as you said. Then you said, what's important to me now, I didn't appreciate what I had before, and who am I going to be? And now you're using the word like there is some excitement there, but what's really coming up for me is there's an intentionality of what you're saying. Do you mind talking a little bit? You said you had some weight issues, you're doing things differently, you're tuning in. Any of those of us who follow you know your nutrition and your focus and your selfness, self-wellness, orientation. But who do I see when I look in the mirror? I'm hearing like stronger, intentioned, a more well way of life. Is this right?
Yes, thank you for saying that. And I love that word. I love your words, intentionality. I love it. It is. It's really focused me on, life is short, as I said before, get to grips with the things that I've been putting off. I've never been happy with my weight. I've got too much. overweight, and really go, right, this is my chance to deal with it. This is a wake up call that maybe I needed, not the way I would have chosen it. No one would. But again, the silver linings, what we can take from this. So yes, I'm working on my weight. I didn't realize how important to your confidence, never mind anything else, and you'll know all about this as the wonderful confidence coach, being strong is physically strong. So for the first time in my life, I am doing very, very little, very small steps, weight training. So to build up my strength, it also helps with immunity, which is good for me going forward, because there's always the worry that cancer will come back. So to build up my immunity, to build up my strength and my confidence, I am committing to regularly doing exercise. Believe it or not, I'm nearly 60 years old. I've never done that. I'm here and there doing everything, never take it that seriously. This has made me go, right, I've got to do this. Again, I have wonderful support. I'm working with a personal trainer who is oncology trained, so she's looking after me so well. But we're building, she's taking me from where I am to build up, and I can see a difference already, and I'm so pleased for that. And as I say, the feeling, the confidence to feel that I'm building a bit of strength, because emotionally and physically we need that, don't we? You've got a regular fitness routine. You're amazing. I've never done it until now. So that's another thing, to go, oh my goodness, I'm doing it now. I'm proud of myself for doing that. So
Good.
yeah.
Excuse me, I have to interrupt again. I want to, of course, say, I get it. The confidence that comes from the physical training, the fitness training. I love that you're working with a trainer. I love that you're working with an oncology trained personal trainer.
Yes.
I get it. I was 50 before I got into a gym the same way. I was, okay, it was younger, younger, but I was 50 before I ever lifted a weight, 50-ish before I ever lifted a weight. Maybe I was 49. My daughter Rebecca, a personal trainer herself, got me to lift my first weight. So I really know this is a very interesting thing, friends, because when you talk about who do I see when I look in the mirror, and you're in a gym or there's a mirror and you're lifting a weight, and you see that person, it's like, wow, that's me. Even if it's a 3 pound, a 3 pound, you go from a 3 pound to a 5 pound, you go from or 1 pound, you go to a 5 pound, you go to an 8 pound, Nadine and I were just talking off camera about another thing. And I said, all the rest of that doesn't matter if you don't take that first step and do that first thing. If you do that first thing, if you like it, let's go. We're off to town on the rest of it. But that 1 pound weight, is the thing, and, I'm not taking off my shirt to show you my muscles, but I want to.
But you have good muscles. Yes.
Yes, because for 10 years, I've been working on this and focusing on this. Who do I see when I look in the mirror? Nadine. It came up for me, like, I'm going to mark this day and I want to speak to your future self, but I'm not sure when she's going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be, because it's still early in the year that we're speaking. This video is going to stand the test of time without a doubt. But in our real time, we're in the first quarter of the year, and I'm thinking I want to schedule now and plan for a conversation in the end of the last quarter of this year, and see check in. Yeah. So we're going to do that. One of the things I love this. I hope that, again, the intentionality that you're showing up between, your own self, calmer self method underlies all of this. Your own calmer self method. I encourage people to look it up on your website. There's tools and tips and strategies and beautiful videos inside. It's ridiculous, inside your Facebook group. People can go in there and hear personal meditations from you. Underlies the, I don't know how to say, creates a good foundation from which to rise, to be in the strength, from which to rise, to be in the growing, from which to rise, to be in the intentionality of saying, yeah, we're at an age and a stage of life where it's on us. It's all us. There's no more kind of excuses or distractions of taking care of
Yeah.
everyone else. And you
Yes.
said you
Yes.
had a wake up call that you needed.
Mm,
And
mm,
honestly, with your focus, remember today, friends, we're talking about, the image that we see, our body image. And I'm not being like, of course I'm vain. Of course I look in the mirror. I look at myself on video every day. Come on. Of course, we want you to. We want you to look in the mirror. We want you to ask, who are you? Who do
yeah.
who who do I see here? Who
Yeah.
is she? What is
Mm,
in her? What is
mm,
of her? What is about her or him? And
yes.
we want you to, the old thing Louise Hay started so decades ago now, looking in the mirror and saying, looking into your
Yes.
own eyes,
Mm,
creating a love relationship with yourself. I love you.
mm,
I was never
mm.
able to accomplish that, but I've done different things since. And so, this is, I mean, really, I hear myself speaking quickly because our time is going, but I can't say how important this is. Nadine, just as a question, uh, I mean, you don't have to answer this. I guess I'll say it, not a question for you, but I'll say for myself. Yes, there are times I stand full body looking at myself in the mirror, perhaps after a shower or whatever. Probably this is way TMI, I know, but this is what we want people to do to connect somatically, from the brain, the mind, to the body. Do you know what I mean, Nadine?
I so do. And it's something when it's interesting that you said Louise Hay, because I could never do that. I love you. I could never do it. Now I can look myself in the eye and actually go, you're doing okay, and have that. So that's my compromise, if you like. And again, it's how we can all do it in a different way, can't we? And I know people that don't look in the mirror. And like you say, when I'm doing my exercise, I don't like looking at myself, but it's important to connect and to talk.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about the inner child work that we've both done. And you sponsored the wonderful podcast that I did with Cornelia Stephanie, and I'm so grateful for that. But, connecting with little Nadine, I can look in the mirror, I can look into my own eyes and I can talk to myself, like you say, dear younger self, dear future self, what am I doing now? I talk to myself, I give myself a talking to, but it really helps to look at myself while I'm doing that. So that is a really valuable. I'd encourage anyone to try it. It's not comfortable to start with, but you're then talking to somebody and it's
Oh my
you.
God, this is
That
so good. This
connection,
is a
that
great call
connection
to
is,
action exercise. Yeah,
isn't
go
it?
ahead.
Isn't it? And can I just throw this at you for a moment, because it's something that you said earlier and I don't want to lose it. I know that we've talked about using the practice of Qigong to help ourselves settle and calm and build confidence. When you've been going through your grief, and I know you're still in it, you're processing everything, has the exercise, that physical movement, really helped you and that gives you that
Completely.
confidence?
It's
Yeah.
so the Qigong that we have discussed here in our conversations. And then also, I created something called SMR, Simple Movement Routine.
Mm,
Yes, when I, just move, do a
mm,
simple movement, it may be a sway, it may be a qigong move, it may be bringing my hands together in the prayer position.
mm.
Often I take my thumbs and I touch them to, my
Yeah,
heart space, my
exactly.
heart brain, as it's called. The physical of doing that does bring me into the centering space whereby I can come through a grief moment or come through an unfocused moment from the
Mm.
chaos of all of our lives, and all that's going on universally, energetically, and of course in the physical. I cannot say how much sometimes, Nadine, I have to get up and get out and walk the dog. I mean, the
Yeah.
physical movement and
Mm.
strength of walking the dog. Going back to the word intentionality, Nadine, we learned from Thich Nhat Hanh of the intentional meditative walk, where you very slowly lift your foot and put it down, and
mm,
slowly lift your foot and
mm,
put it down, with the intention of mindful consciousness on
yeah,
that movement, which of course takes us out of the chaosy brain as well. You don't
yes,
have to be
yeah,
like meditating to do things like this. There's a qigong walk. For the people who are listening, I'm swinging my arm
yeah,
slowly. You know, there's a qigong walk where you take a step, you swing the arm, you take a step, you swing the arm. Sometimes I do that when I'm walking the dog.
yeah,
And also in our Dear Future Self conversation, you know, when we have our Dear Future Self conversation, we are the younger selves from then.
yes, yes,
So we're going to
yeah,
see how much you remain committed to your fitness routine. For example, working
mm,
with the trainer, using the weights. We're going to see the love of your body. You know, you talked about weight issues and that kind of thing in the past, and mostly what I see, what I feel in our conversations in the cancer journey is it's more like, rather than having the svelte body, the sexy body that we might have thought we wanted, um, it's more like having, I just call it fit life. It's more like having a
yeah,
well body. Nadine, we need to make time our friend. Your breasts, something, you know, you're in the middle, like the lopsided, this one surgery, that, the other surgery. I don't know how it's going to be. Like,
yeah,
time is going to be our friend in the
yes, mm,
future,
mm,
whether it's 30 days or 3 years. I don't know how long this takes. There's going to be a time that your body is going to have settled out, or maybe
mm,
settled in.
mm, mm,
Your procedures are going to be over, the medication is going to be done, the chemo and stuff, and you're going to be settled out. And then you're going to have worked out, sometimes better, sometimes more or less, or not, or yes, and just going forward, that's all.
yeah,
And that's a vision that we can have, not the sexy little hot body that we used to thought we wanted, used to think we wanted, but rather a confident, calm, mature, strong body to take you through the end of your days, you know, for the
yes.
next 30 years, right?
Yes, yeah, you're so right because it is. It's made me realize that actually, yes, I used to be putting myself under that pressure to go, I've got to be a certain size, I've got to be a certain shape and everything. And that was never, I never attained that. I never got that. And I was never
Right.
happy. But now my focus, my desire, if you like, my goals are not like that. It's much more realistic. It's much more, let's just be as healthy as we can be, as strong as we can be. You know, the focus has changed. And that's quite a relief, to be honest. But also it's more realistic, isn't it? You know, I want to be happy, even now, lopsided as I am, and I'm not happy with my hair because I can't do anything with it. You know, I actually am going, it's okay. You know, I'm kinder to myself. I've learned
Mhm.
that. You know, that's really lovely. That's quite as I say, relief for me to be able to be like that. So again, when I look in the mirror, I'm seeing someone. I'm seeing myself who is kinder to myself. I've upped my self-care because this gives me an opportunity to do that. That's a good thing. That's a blessing. You know, I'll touch very briefly on something that we've talked about before, you know, my alcohol consumption. You know,
Yes.
I used to use alcohol to not feel, to not see, to not look, to not deal with my issues. Now I'm not using alcohol. Um, it's again, I see someone different. I can see clearer. I can look in the mirror and actually go, this is the real me. You know, this is it. And that's
Can
okay.
we do an episode on
Yeah.
living an alcohol-free life?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
we're gonna
Definitely.
park
Yeah.
that. We're gonna do
Yeah.
that because I'm also currently living an alcohol-free life,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I want to talk
Mhm.
about that. I
Yeah.
100%, and I that came
Let's
up
do
for
this.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that came up for me before in the conversation. I didn't
Mm.
say it because I didn't want to interrupt at that time, but that came
No, no,
up for
no.
me before,
Mm.
how
Definitely.
alcohol
Let's come back to that because
depletes.
that's a subject on its own. But I just thought I wanted to just bring that in because it is part of this whole what I'm seeing and how clear things can be, you know, because I wasn't I was part of my reason for using alcohol so much, and I did, make no bones about it, I used it a lot, was because I didn't want to see. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to do that. You know, the looking in the mirror into my own eyes, like I said before, I wasn't able to do. And one of the ways of avoiding that is to have a drink. You're numbing out. You're not doing that, you know. So that was one of the things. But yes, you're right. Let's park that for now and have another
Yeah,
conversation
that's
because
so good. Oh, we're
like,
totally doing that. Okay,
mm,
great. I'm already
mm.
excited about that. Now, Nadine, before we close, because you just let me ask you these things. I'm just going to ask you. Um, Before we were talking, you said, I'm going to color my hair. And so I
Yeah,
want to ask you to give us a heads up. What are you thinking about this?
do you know what I'm going to do first? Blue, dark blue,
Ah,
dark blue.
yes.
Because actually, I might have. Let me see. I don't want to do any advertising. I'll put that there. Can you see?
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Obviously, I haven't got long hair anymore, but the colour, because again, we're going to have fun. This is my feeling. While it's short, while I can do this, I would never have been bold enough to do that with
Yeah.
my long hair and take it away from the colour that it was and everything. But let's have a bit of fun and let's have a bit of blue. See what happens.
Yeah.
That's my first intention. I have no idea what else I'll do. I might go through all the colours of the rainbow. I've got no idea. I
Right.
want spiky. I want blue. I want to experiment with different styles as it grows.
Oh my God, I'm having
I have
chills
no
all
idea. I've
over
never
my
done
bed.
that. I've never had hair this short in my life, apart from when I was born. I don't know what I was called. This will make you giggle. A worn out lavatory brush is what the nurse who delivered me said I looked like when I was born. So my hair, I have no idea what that means my hair looked like when I was born,
Right.
but I've never had hair short,
Right.
this short, never mind how short it was when it was shaved off. So this is experimenting time. So that is, yes, a little
So
spoiler alert. I'm going blue first.
that is so fun. And my sister had dark hair. She suffered with the stripe, the graying white stripe, and
Yeah, lots
eventually
of grey, lots of
back
grey.
and forth landed with blue. So she has some gray, a lot of gray now, a little bit of the black, dark or whatever, and blue painted in.
Yeah,
And we
who
love it.
knows? Yeah,
We all love it.
yeah,
This is a whole conversation about the women and the graying and the COVID gray. And I'm in
yeah,
that place. Should I keep coloring? Should I go gray? I'm not ready to. My daughters are like, you're not going gray.
yeah,
So, to the
mm,
point of who do I see when I look in the mirror, I want to
yeah,
close this conversation by saying we encourage you to look in the mirror and actually see something, see who, see you now so you can
yeah,
be in the
mm,
intention, so you can be in more appreciation, so you don't take for granted what you see, so you can
yeah,
learn the blessing of gratitude, so you
mm,
can really be more in charge, and what will result is that you'll feel more confident, and then eventually you'll feel more calm. And that's
yes,
really what this whole
yeah,
conversation has been about. And
mm,
I can't say how much I've also learned this in part, from our conversations and art
yeah,
journey. And
mm.
my friend, as always, so good. So good. How can
We knew it,
people
didn't we?
find out about your calmer self method?
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, there's so much. I've got a YouTube channel and it's Calm Myself. Simple to find that. There's tons on there. All of our conversations are on there so you can look back. But there are meditations. There are, I share a lot. Before the cancer diagnosis, I was doing it, but even more so now. So there's a lot on there for people to dip in and out of. And like you say, just encouraging people to take a moment just to look at themselves without judgment, without anything, and just take a moment because whatever you're seeing, you know, appreciate it. I've learned that lesson. I'm grateful that I can look in the mirror and there's something to see because there was a time when I didn't even know if I'd be here. So that
Yeah,
is something I don't want anyone to go through that to get that feeling, but take a moment just to appreciate we're here and we are beautiful. We are beautiful inside and out. We all are, aren't we? So
Yeah.
I want everyone to feel that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, friends, my YouTube channel is called The Confidence Zone with Susan
Yes.
Axelrod. Nadine's YouTube channel is called Calmer Self, and we urge and encourage and invite you to find us and join the conversation. Nadine, my friend, we went way over my planned time, but there's so much to say, and I'm already looking forward to our next conversation.
Me
Thank you,
too.
and I'll
Me
see
too.
you soon.
Thank you.